preseason press conference right now before we get into vacation month of July, and just ready to entertain, where we are at this point during the summer. I think we have roughly, well, we took pictures today, headshots, so we had, I think the number I heard was 74. That's a good deal. What we're doing, what this group of players has done just right now is established a culture of the summer workout, which started last summer, and they've taken it far this year. So that's a tribute to those guys, what they've the arrangements that they made, our lack of stipends for summer school, and we still have 74 kids here. Normally that's a recipe for disaster, and Dan Ryan has done a phenomenal job with those guys in there, and it'll only help us. And like I said, what they're doing now is they're establishing a culture of this is the norm now, whereas before 10 to 12 guys was the norm. This is the norm. You need to be here developing as a team and doing football. College football's a year round. You get 3 weeks off in May, and you get a week off in July, and a week off before the season. And in immortal words of Dan Hawkins, it's Division I football, man. It's what you do. So give credit to these kids. So we just got done with our camps, our high school camps, and I said the coaches are sick of me and ready to go on vacation for a month.
What stands out to you the most right now from your guys?
Just their, like I said, their work ethic. The only one that keeps true tabs on the guys is Dan Ryan, but just the fact that they're around and you see them, and they, we put it to them back in March that, look, the stipends may be there, may not be, so make arrangements, plan for the worst, and they all did a great job. It's funny, they're working at like Costa Vida and I don't know, wherever else. It's just funny, but they went out and did what, shoot, I worked at a oil company in Memphis when I was playing, and put cooking oil into tanker cars at 3 in the morning. So, everybody does it. Everybody, if you're a Division I athlete, scholarship or work, one of the two.
We've got one that works at the Journal.
There you go. See, they're all over.
What I guess are there some students that are here on summer aid, or are they all on their own?
For football, they're all on their own.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
That's there's some classes are paid for, but just bare bones. So that's like where last summer we had a full scholarship for the kids. So if you look at some other places like I got a real good friend at Southern Illinois. He's a defense coordinator. They have 104 kids at the beginning of June. So it's just a matter of we got to slowly build to where we need to be.
So with more players here during the summertime, do you think that's creating better team chemistry?
Totally, absolutely. The guys go out and do their voluntary throwing in the evenings, and that's arranged by the players. We have nothing to do with that, and we know if they're here working with Dan Ryan in the weight room, they're doing what they're supposed to do. Because just hey, we all did it as players. If we weren't around the facility, you don't work as hard. So I'm guilty. So anyways, that's a good deal that they're all here. Yeah, it's great.
How's it been with coaching and the dynamic of all the coaches together? I know Ferreter's new, but he's not new. You know him. So how's it been just since spring ball, really getting things in action and talking with them and building a plan?
I really like our staff. The addition of Roman Sapolu to the offense has made a big difference with the offensive line. Jay Staggs has come in, worked safeties. It's a fun environment in the office. We all get along well. I think we have a group of guys that are golfers, so they all go golf. I don't golf. I don't enjoy it one bit. But it's a good dynamic in the office, and you need that because going into a season things aren't always going to go smoothly. There's always going to be rifts and peaks and valleys, and you have to be able to get through those tough times, and that's why the staff do a great job recruiting Dave and Steve down in Utah, and you know, I did a 2-week tour with Roger and Jay and Mike in the state of Idaho. Tried to visit all the 3A, 4A, 5A schools, and it's we just got a good group. Guys down Southern California did a good job finding kids, and it's like I said, it's slowly getting to where a Division I program needs to be.
Yeah, I was talking with some of the returners just at photos today, and they were talking with each other about how the summer program has just been a complete shift, and they love it, and it's really feeling good. And so what, I guess, what stands, or what excites you the most or stands out to you the most about the work ethic that they are putting in, because they never really had this type of layout?
Yeah, first and foremost, it's the guy in there, Dan Ryan.
Okay.
You know, they know they're going to get the right coaching, good coaching. They have a good program. They trust Dan, and Dan holds them accountable, very much so.
Right.
And just something that he at least is the type of guy that the kids want to come in and work for, and work hard for, and they see it, but they also see results. And he's there for them whenever he needs them, you know, needs them to be there. And he's not a part-time guy, you know, he's one man, you know, that does it all by himself too. Everybody else in the conference has at least two full-time strength coaches and several GAs, where we have Dan Ryan, and he's like I said, unbelievable. Without him, this doesn't happen. A guy that understands, and the best thing about Dan is he understands what we want as a coaching staff. We could let him, here Dan, you got it. You know, we don't change his schedule. We let him run it the way he needs to, and so that's a good thing. And the kids respond to him.
Absolutely.
Go interview him. He's the one you should be talking to.
Yeah,
Not me.
I guess so.
The
I'd love to talk to
the guy is great.
For those players who weren't able to find a job and a living situation here over the summer, I mean, what are the expectations for them if they're back home or wherever?
I hope they're in shape when they get here, because we're going to hit the ground running. You know, it's not like the old days where you have what they used to call it. Well, I won't say it, but heck week. But you know, it's not like that anymore. It's year round, and the football season is moving. The beginning is moving further and further and further back. You know, for us, we started the day after Memorial Day, and you know, a lot of people have their whole team report that first week of June. You know, that's basically what we did, and said this is pretty much all voluntary, and the kids have done a phenomenal job. And the community's helped out too with, you know, hiring them for jobs and stuff.
When does fall camp start for you guys?
Reporting date is July 31st, and first practice is August 1st. And we'll practice Monday through Saturday. We'll take Sundays off, and we are mandated to have a day off during. So we'll have every Sunday off, and the NCAA allows us to meet for a few hours, but in terms of practice and all that, I think that's a good thing. And I would have done that last year, but getting in so late and all the arrangements had been made, you know, I couldn't push it back any further than I already did. So this is being run the way that I want to run it. This, you know, finally with the plan. But I think it's important to give those guys a day off, get away from us for a minute too. So.
Hey, Coach, one thing I forgot to ask you earlier, the rule change with the NCAA regarding freshmen. You can now play freshmen up to 4 games without losing their eligibility. How does that impact a program like ISU, which doesn't have the numbers of like Alabama or USC?
I think it's critical, because the Big Sky schools are 1AA schools. The big issue is depth. Okay, you know, we'll go play Cal and they'll be 2-3 deep. Mm-hmm. You know, we're 1.5 deep basically, and but what this allows you to do is, you know, if a kid gets banged up towards the end of the year, you know, you don't have to worry about pulling a year on a kid if you need to throw him in on special teams or something, or maybe finally develop to be good enough to play, and you can play him as the last 4, or, you know, play him 1 or 2 here. But you have to have an extensive spreadsheet on participation now, just to make sure that we don't. But I think that's a good deal, especially like for a team like us, where say you get an injury at a position, you don't have to move a guy from another position. You got maybe like a redshirt that can fill the void. So I think it's a good deal.
Personally, what's the biggest change you've made as a head coach for either yourself in coaching? Is there anything that you've changed and you've evolved into over the last year with Idaho State?
Yeah, I'm not so nervous talking to you guys.
Yeah, that is also true.
I don't. Yeah, I wasn't. I didn't get deer in the headlights coming out to that first spring ball. And I was like, oh, I gotta talk to these people now. Other than that, no. I think I've even delegated even more and let the guys even more so do their stuff. And I just wanted to, last year I was probably a little bit more hands-on just because it was the first time around. Now we all understand each other, what we need. So,
Right.
there's a lot of that. I have complete faith and trust in David with special teams, Coop with the defense, and Mike with the offense. And there's times where I just become the receiver coach, where I'm not the head coach, and Mike's in charge of the room, and that's the way it has to go. So I don't know. I guess I feel a little bit more comfortable in the position. So.
Absolutely. How important is trust? I mean, trusting coaches.
Oh, huge, because that's frankly why there were some changes last year, and now I don't feel I feel what's being said in the staff room is getting to the position room and getting to the field, and so trust is a big thing, and that's what I say. I trust Mike, trust Dave to death, love him, and Coop. I think Coop went and combed his hair for this later on.
Awesome.
He didn't just come out of the weight room like that.
Coach, you mentioned a little bit earlier about recruits and how it's going well in Utah and down in Southern California. Are there any recruits or transfers that are coming in that you feel might make a good impact on the team right off the bat?
Not anything that I can speak about yet per rules, but there will be some additions, and that's all I can say. But like I said, state Idaho, Salt Lake, Southern California, and even Seattle. Those areas are all key areas for us. But yeah, there'll be some. We're working on some things, but we just can't, by rule, make any note of it.
Coach, it's not just your team that you pay attention to all the time. Pay attention to everybody in the conference. How about an overview? How do you think the conference is going to take a look this year? And your friend Bobby.
I don't want to get in trouble.
And your friend
we don't play Bobby. So
your friend Bobby back in Montana.
Yeah, that'll be in a year from now. It'll be no, that'll be fun. It'll be good to see him up in Spokane, and he and I talk a bunch on the phone still, every bit as much, about issues. But I think Northern Arizona and UC Davis are going to have arguably the two best quarterback receiver combinations in the conference, much less the country. Idaho has recruited for Division I for the last 20 years, so they're going to have some guys. North Dakota is always tough. They play that style of ball. Looking at the schedule, it's always tough to go to Portland, but we're playing in Hillsboro, which is when I told Mike Farrer that, he goes, yeah, it's a good thing. So when he was at Montana last year, they played at Hillsboro, which is better than playing in a cavernous European football field. And Davis can be really good. Cal Poly's always tough to play out there. Montana State and Montana schools are always fun to go against. And then the other team. So it's going to be good. Hey, great home schedule. Great home schedule. Western State, but then Northern Arizona for homecoming. Nice big crowd. Idaho, want place to be sold out in orange and black, not the other colors. Montana State always brings good crowd, and like I said, last game, it's going to be fun. So I think here in town, people come. Good home schedule. One of the best since I've been around here.
What's kind of the mindset right now? Like nothing to lose, everything to prove, or where are you kind of at?
Everything to prove, love it. That's, yeah, we're not ranked, we're not considered anywhere. It's good, keeps our guys angry. So that's the best thing. So we're just lucky to be on the field with those teams, and we'll come out and play hard. It's only one, we got one speed, and let it finish up the way it does,
Another rule change is, I guess, the transfer rule, or they don't have to get permission from schools anymore.
Yeah.
Do you see that affecting anything majorly either way?
No, Mike and I went, I was grinding on it, and Mike Ferrer does such a good job of looking up rules and finding every little detail of it, where I'm just running around in a panic like an idiot. So it really is not, the only difference is that before, a kid would have to come to us and say, Coach, I want to transfer. And then we'd say, like, where do you want to go? And if he said somewhere we didn't want him, we'd deny that. But now a kid has to come to us and say, I want to transfer. You got 2 days to put his name in the database, and that's it. But everything else, the rules are the same. We move up, you got to sit a year. So as far as like people coming in and pilfering our guys, that think that they could play at the next level, that shouldn't happen, and it would have been a real tragedy had they made it immediate eligibility. Then all of a sudden we become a junior college, and that's ridiculous. So at least they still have to sit a year, but I guess it just alleviates the kids any anxiety that a kid may have about wanting to ask about transferring.
Has it just been like a big weight is lifted off your shoulders now that you do have a staff that you can just sit back and trust?
Absolutely. That's, yeah. And I said, I think we're all good with our common goal and what we're trying to teach and what we're trying to do. So yeah, it's just not like it wasn't a big heavy weight before, but it's just a nice, the atmosphere in the office is awesome.
Right.
And that's a good thing.
I guess one more for me. You talked about Farragut bringing a bunch of nuances to the program. Can you just, talk about how the guys have been accepting those nuances, how you've been
great.
accepting those nuances?
I'm the biggest problem, because he, poor guy, have to preface it with me, okay, now just hear me out on this, because old dog set in old ways, okay, because
Yeah.
I know best, but the things that he brought to the offense were all made total sense, and were great. It was fun. And it was, the best part about it was I learned new stuff. So
Right.
that's always good. So and if you ever stop learning, then you're going to be out of this business, because it's evolving. It evolves daily. So just like I said, Mike did a good job of, because he knows me well enough and knows how I'm going to respond, and he did a great job of just
Presenting.
hear me out on this, okay? Hear me. So no, it's really good.
Cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned the preseason polls a little bit, and there's preseason All-America teams out, and you guys aren't getting any guys on there. Do you want your kids to look at that and get motivated, or do you not want them to look at it?
Perfect. Yeah, it's exactly what we want. So no respect, love it. But yeah, that's the kids see that and they know it, and we don't talk about it much, but they know, they use it for motivation. I know James probably use it for motivation, probably Mitch, but they don't talk about it, so they're good that way. We have more fun about it. It's better to tease them about it more than anything. Yes, so that makes it worthwhile.
Is there any player this summer that has just made exceptional, even in just the weight room or just speed or anything that is just kind of okay, we're going to be a whole new squad?
We're really out of touch with that during the summer.
Yeah.
That's something that Dan would be able to answer, but going back through spring ball, thought Trey Bell had a lot of reps because Michael Dean was on the shelf for a little bit, and he did a great job. Drew Perkins moved over from safety to receiver, and I'm just talking about spring ball, so
Right.
see how they develop during the summer. But like I said, we won't know that until we get to fall camp, when we get all the guys back together.
yeah, just able to build some